Hello everyone and welcome back to my doll collecting channel. Today we are talking about the most controversial dolls that have ever been released. On this list we'll be talking about American Girl, Barbie, and some other doll lines that are pretty questionable. Number 1, Share a Smile Becky. In 1997, Mattel came out with Share a Smile Becky, Barbie's first friend who used a wheelchair. However, one 17-year-old high schooler wrote to Mattel saying that the doll couldn't fit through Barbie's dream house. In response to this, Mattel re-released Becky, but they changed her wheelchair in order to fit in the dollhouse. However, the disability community mentioned that this wasn't how you treat disabled people and that we shouldn't expect disabled people to change for the world around them, but the world around them should change for them as we become more accessible as a society. And here I have a quote. A lot of talk about why Becky doesn't exist anymore is that any iteration is that it is too complicated to redesign Barbie world to fit Becky, so they just got rid of her, says Karen Hitzelberger, a blogger with cerebral palsy who uses a wheelchair. Next on this list is American Girl's homeless doll. In 2009, American Girl released the Girl of the Year, Krissa, and Krissa had two best friends, Sonali and Gwen. Now, Sonali was a former bully who later became Krissa's friend in the story, since Krissa's stories revolved around the theme of bullying. However, the other best friend doll, Gwen, what she was dealing with in the story was homelessness. Now, this was just after the 2008 recession, so people theorized that they were trying to empathize with people who were going through difficult times during this recession because this was only a year after in 2009. But a lot of people felt like this, was very unaware of American Girl to do, considering that this doll cost around $100 in 2009. So American Girl was being criticized for being a little bit tone deaf by charging $100 for a doll that was going through homelessness. And it seemed to be profiting off of something that is very serious for people to go through. And this still remains one of the most controversial dolls from American Girl, but she is not the only American Girl that's on this list. So this doll was based off of the death, or I should say the murder, of Caylee Anthony. And according to Wikipedia, on July 15th, 2008, she was reported missing in a 911 call made by Cindy, who was her grandmother, who said she had not seen Caylee for 31 days and that Casey's car smelt like a dead body had been inside it. Cindy said Casey had given various explanations on why Caylee's whereabouts before finally telling her she had not seen Caylee for weeks. Casey lied, so Casey's her mother lied to detectives, telling them Caylee had been kidnapped by a nanny on June 9th and that she had been trying to find her, too frightened to alert the authorities. And then she was charged with first-degree murder on October 2008 and pled not guilty. So I'm going to spare some of the details because it's very gruesome, but Caylee was 2 years old when she was murdered by her mother. If you want to read about the full story, you can get the, very simplified version from the Wikipedia page, which I will have linked. And again, I know some people will say that Wikipedia is not a very reliable source, but it has gotten better over the years. But it's a great place to start and just get the basic outline of something. So if you want the basic outline, you can check out the Wikipedia page. But it is a very gruesome story. It's very gruesome, and that's why people were surprised that a Caylee Sunshine doll was released. So a company called Showbiz Promotions created this doll that was called Caylee Sunshine. And they stated that it was supposed to be a Caylee Anthony tribute and that it was supposed to raise money for children who passed away prematurely, which is the way they worded it. However, this doll had a voice box in it that would sing "You Are My Sunshine," which was a song that Caylee sung in a home video that was released after her murder. Now, the company said that it wasn't a direct copy off of Caylee because Caylee had brown hair while this doll had blonde hair, but a lot of people were uncomfortable by this doll being a tribute to Caylee and not even really looking like her. So it was like they were claiming it was a tribute to Caylee, and then they were called on it. They said that it wasn't because their hair color didn't match. So there was so much controversy even before this doll was released that they didn't end up releasing it, according to this CNN article. But to be honest, I think that this is one of the most disturbing examples on this list, because profiting off of death is a whole nother level of messed up, especially with this case, especially if you just look into it a little bit. I don't want to look into it too much because it's pretty disturbing, but it just goes to show that people are willing to do anything just to make a quick buck. So next we have Pregnant Midge, which is actually a doll on this list that I owned as a child, and I had no idea about this controversy surrounding the doll. And she was actually a pretty popular doll at the time. So Midge was pregnant with a baby, and I remember having the doll. She was just like a regular Barbie doll, but she had like a magnetic stomach that you could put this little baby in her stomach and then close the stomach, and so she could be pregnant with a baby. But one of the main controversies surrounding this doll is that customers complained and said that it was promoting teen pregnancy. It also caused controversy because there was no evidence of Midge being married. So because initially she was not released with a wedding ring, Mattel responded by re-releasing the doll with a wedding ring and putting in a cardboard cutout of a Ken doll named Alan. There was so much complaining about this doll that Walmart pulled this line, which was called the Happy Family line, off of their shelves. And the Happy Family line included everything from a talking house, a backyard swimming pool, neighborhood market, and playground. So they didn't just pull this doll off the shelf, they pulled the entire line because they had got so many complaints about this doll, even with the changes. Next we have My Friend Cayla. And My Friend Cayla was a line of 18-inch dolls, which was considered a smart toy. So how these smart toys worked is that they used speech recognition technology in order to pick up the child's speech mannerisms, and you could connect it with an Android or iOS mobile app, and it would, learn how the child speaks and was able to have a conversation with the child. And if the child asked it a question, it would connect to the internet and search Google and then give it an answer based off of what it found on the internet. Now, it's pretty straightforward of why this doll was controversial, but one of the reasons it was so controversial is that people could actually hack into the doll in a close range, and one hacker was able to make the doll say inappropriate adult phrases. And when creating this video, this is when I first encountered this doll, and I was blown away because it literally sounds something out of a dystopian horror movie. Like, I don't know who thought it would be a good idea to release a doll that connects to the internet, can give phrases based on a Google search. I mean, we all know by now, don't trust everything you read on the internet, and the internet has a lot of questionable materials on it. So just having a doll that just generates answers from the internet is really disturbing to me. And then also hackers being able to hack into it easily is also pretty creepy. But based on my research, it looks like in some corners of the internet you can still purchase this doll, which is pretty creepy. Now, there is several articles telling parents to destroy the doll because of how disturbing it is and all the possible problems, but I see a few places that you can still purchase this doll, which is pretty creepy. Next, we have one of the earlier editions of Barbie, and this is Slumber Party Barbie. In 1965, which was 6 years after Barbie was initially released, Slumber Party Barbie came with a scale that was stuck at 110 pounds. And based on Barbie's proportions, she would be around 5 feet 9 inches tall, and if she was 110 pounds, that would mean she is 35 pounds underweight, which is a dangerous message to send to young girls. Another older version of Barbie was Growing Up Skipper. Now, Growing Up Skipper was controversial because she was advertised as being 2 dolls in one for twice as much fun. And when you rotated her arm, she would grow from a young girl to a teenager. So she would grow in the legs, but also in her chest. The second American Girl to be mentioned on this list is a fairly recent controversy, and that is with the doll Addie. Now, Addie was released in 1993, making her one of the first historical dolls to be released from American Girl. Now, Addie is a black doll, and in the beginning of her stories, she is a slave. However, her first book is about her escaping slavery to, I believe, Philadelphia is where she escapes to in her stories, and throughout her stories she's trying to reunite her family as the Civil War is going on. However, in the last few years, people are calling for American Girl to retire this character because they don't think it's appropriate for young girls. Angered customers formed a petition to retire the doll some 20 years after her release, citing, quote, "Slavery was vile, cruel, inhumane, unjust holocaust of Black Americans. Generations of lives were lost in the slave trade. Why would this subject matter ever be considered entertaining?" However, not everyone agreed. Some people don't want to see a character in slavery. That's ridiculous. Novel Connie Porter said, who was hired to write Addie's story, told the Washington Post. "You can run the risk of being so politically correct that you can lose whole periods of history," Porter added. "Children are more ready to talk about these things than some adults are." Next, we have LOL Surprise. So a few years ago, a video was released online on social media of a mother putting LOL surprise dolls in cold water, and it revealed that the dolls were wearing lingerie and had some questionable tattoos. Of course, there was a lot of people who called this inappropriate, with others not being surprised since LOL is owned by the same company who produced Bratz dolls. What do you think? Did you think that this went a little too far? Now, Teen Talk Barbie was a doll that was supposed to say certain phrases that I guess Mattel thought were what normal teenagers say. And some of the phrases included were, "Will we ever have enough clothes?" and "I love shopping." However, a lot of parents took offense to the phrase "math class is hard" because they claimed it encouraged girls not to study or that it was uncool to be smart. And later editions of the doll, Mattel removed this phrase because of this criticism. Now, the next one I find kind of funny if you ignore the misogyny. And I'll explain why after I explain it to you. So we have computer engineer Barbie. And on paper, this sounds like a good idea. Encouraging girls to go into STEM sounds like a fantastic idea, right? Well, the way they did it was interesting. In the book, Barbie, I Can Be a Computer Engineer, she mostly just infects computers with viruses and can't fix anything without the help of her male coworkers. The internet saw the fit to recaption the books and turn her into a superior feminist hacker Barbie. And let's just see what they are talking about. So here we have the picture of the computer engineer Barbie from the stories. So in the stories, Barbie is in a library and there is two men who are trying to help her. And it, quote, says, "It will go faster if Brian and I help," offers Steven. "Great," says Barbie. "Steven, can you even hook Skipper's hard drive into the library computer?" "Sure," says Steven. "The library computer has excellent security software to protect it." So this is funny to me because there's a lot of things that Barbie is breaking, a lot of rules that when you're doing computer security and just computer common sense is not present in this. First off, you should not plug in hard drives or CDs or anything into public computers, especially a library, and they're going to tell you that because you could accidentally put viruses in. People who put hard drives in could use it to hack into a computer. So never, pick up mysterious hard drives and put them in your computer. That was a common scam, or at least this could happen. I don't know how common this actually is, but if you ever find like a hard drive lying around, like on the street or in a public place, don't randomly pick it up to see what's on it, because that could be downloading a virus onto your computer and sending that information to a hacker. So that's just some internet safety if you didn't know. So it just feels like they didn't even do the basic research on being a computer engineer, and then also the fact that she's not able to, if she's a computer engineer, and she's not even able to do it without the help of two men, which I can see why that was controversial. So those are the most controversial dolls that have ever been released. Did I miss any? Make sure to leave it in the comment section below. Also, make sure to subscribe for more updates about the dolls and toys you love. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.